I've seen buyers lose Manhattan bidding wars with the highest offer on the table, and I've seen buyers win with a number that wasn't the highest. In Manhattan, price of course matters, but price alone doesn't close deals. Sellers in this market, particularly in co-op buildings, are choosing a buyer, not just a number. They're choosing the person most likely to close, least likely to create problems, and most likely to sell through a board approval process that is entirely out of the seller's and buyer's control once the deal is signed. If you've lost a bidding war and you're not sure why, or if you're about to make an offer in a competitive situation and you want to actually win it, this video is for you. My name is Dewey and I've called Manhattan home for over 30 years, and I've spent many of them as one of the top producing agents in my Manhattan office. Today, I'm walking you through exactly what wins bidding wars in this market and what quietly costs buyers deals they thought they had. Now, let's start with the seller's mindset because most buyers honestly never think about it. When a Manhattan seller receives multiple offers, they're not just looking at the numbers. Of course, that's important. But they're looking at certainty. In this market, a deal that falls apart after signing because of a failed co-op board application, a financing contingency that doesn't clear, or a buyer that gets cold feet, it's a catastrophic outcome for the seller. They have lost an immense amount of time, possibly lost other buyers, and in a co-op building, they may now face board scrutiny about why their unit keeps coming back to the market. So when a seller's attorney, and more so an agent, sit down to evaluate multiple offers, they're asking two questions. Which offer is most likely to close, and which buyer is most likely to pass the board? A slightly lower offer from a buyer with an all-cash profile, no contingencies, a flexible closing timeline, and a co-op board-ready financial package, which is extremely important, will often beat a higher financed offer with a mortgage contingency and an unknown board track record. This is the first thing most buyers don't understand about competitive offers in Manhattan. The seller's goal is not necessarily to maximize the price. The seller's goal is to close. Here are the 5 levers beyond price that determine who wins in a competitive Manhattan offer situation. Number 1, contingencies. Now, a mortgage contingency protects the buyer if financing falls through and you're not on the hook to still buy the unit when you don't get your financing. But it also creates uncertainty for the seller. In a competitive situation, waiving the mortgage contingency, if you have strong financing confidence, signals commitment and removes a major source of seller anxiety. Now, with that said, this is not a decision to make lightly or without guidance from your agent, but it is often the single most decisive factor in a multi-offer situation. Number 2 is the closing timeline. Find out what the seller actually needs. Some sellers need to close really quickly. They've already bought somewhere else. Some need more time. They're finding a new apartment, or they need time to clean out of the apartment that they're in. A buyer who offers a closing timeline that fits the seller's situation, even at a slightly lower price, is often the preferred buyer. Your agent should be having this conversation before the offer is submitted, not after. 3, deposit size. Now, the standard contract deposit in Manhattan is 10% of the purchase price, and that is held in escrow. In competitive situations, some buyers offer to increase this to 15, maybe even 20%. What does that signal? Well, a larger deposit signals financial strength and commitment. It tells the seller that this buyer is not walking away casually. Number 4, agent and attorney reputation. In Manhattan, the seller's attorney will ask who the buyer's attorney is, and oftentimes the seller's agent will want to have known the buyer's agent. An attorney with a strong reputation for smooth closings, responsive communication, and co-op board expertise is a genuine competitive advantage. This is one of the most overlooked factors in an offer strategy and one of the most real, and that starts with a great buyer's agent. Your great buyer's agent is going to walk you through the co-op board application, and that is one of the most important things and where buyers really lose out on their deal and get rejected. So you need to have a terrific buyer's agent and a well-known, reputable attorney on your side. Number 5 is the co-op board profile. Now, in a co-op building, the seller's board approval process is a known risk that's given. A buyer who presents with strong post-closing liquidity, a clean debt-to-income ratio, and a clear financial narrative reduces that risk significantly. Now, some sellers and their agents will evaluate competing offers partly on the basis of which buyer is more likely to get through the board criteria. Your board readiness is a huge competitive asset, even if you're not the highest offer on the table. Now, most buyers think about offer strategy after they've seen the apartment. The best buyers and the agents that represent them think about it before. Here's the conversation your agent should be having with the listing agent before your offer even goes in. What is the seller's ideal closing time? Are there other offers? Is the seller prioritizing certainty over price? Has this listing had any prior deals fall apart, and if so, why? Are there board concerns about the building that a buyer should know going in? This intelligence changes the offer. A seller who needs a 60-day closing doesn't need your offer to come in at 2% above ask. They need your offer to come in at a 60-day timeline and no mortgage contingency. So those two things may be worth more to them than a higher number with a 45-day close and an open financing contingency. The best offer I've ever submitted wasn't necessarily the highest in the room. It was the offer that told the seller exactly what they needed to hear, backed up by a buyer who had everything in order to deliver it. We made sure of that before we made the offer and before we entered into the competitive situation. That is what strategic offer preparation looks like. It's not luck. It's information, it's strategy, and it's preparation. Now let me flip the lens for a moment and talk about what loses competitive deals, because some of these will surprise you. Submitting an offer without knowing the seller's timeline. If your offer comes in with a 30-day close and the seller needs 60 days, you may not even make it to the final consideration regardless of your number. Making the offer contingent on things that signal uncertainty, financing contingencies, inspection contingencies, which we don't really do in New York City, sale contingencies, we don't really do those either. So selling a property before you finalize the purchase on another property. Each one of these is a reason for the seller to choose a cleaner offer. Now, in some situations, these contingencies are necessary and appropriate, but in a competitive multi-offer situation, every contingency you carry is a disadvantage relative to buyers who don't carry any contingencies. Low deposit percentage. So as we talked about earlier, a 10% deposit is the standard. Less than 10% is a competitive situation that signals that you're hedging, and sellers and attorneys absolutely notice this. Something else is a slow response time. If a seller or listing agent is managing multiple offers with a deadline and your agent takes 2 hours to get back to them on a question, that creates doubt about how the transaction will go. Offer situations in New York City move fast, and your team needs to move faster. Letting your emotional attachment show too early, and I know this feels counterintuitive and it's difficult. Shouldn't the seller want a buyer who loves the apartment? But expressing desperation or over-attachment in a multi-offer situation can actually weaken your negotiating position. Enthusiasm is great. Desperation signals that you may not walk away, which reduces your leverage. So let's recap what wins bidding wars in Manhattan and what it isn't just about. It's not just about having the highest number. It's about presenting a complete offer and a package that tells the seller This buyer will close, this buyer will pass the board's application process, and this buyer will not create problems between signing and closing. The 5 levers: contingencies, closing, timeline, deposit size, attorney reputation, and board readiness. Every one of these is adjustable. Every one of them is something your agent should be thinking about before the offer goes in and strategize with you, not after you've already lost the offer. If you're actively searching in Manhattan or you've already lost a competitive offer and you're trying to understand what happened, I'd love to offer you a free 20-minute strategy call. We'll look at your specific situation, your financing, your board profile, your timeline, and how to structure your next offer to actually win it. No pitch, no pressure, just a clear look at your position and what it's going to take. Link to book that call is in the description. And while you're there, grab my free Manhattan Buyer's Cheat Sheet in the description as well. It covers the key things you need to have in order before you're ready to compete in this crazy New York City market. If this gave you a framework you didn't have before, please subscribe and hit that notification button. This is exactly the kind of inside knowledge that comes from being deep in this market year after year and as one of its top producers. I'm Dewey. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.